Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering price book basics. This webinar will cover a price book overview, how to set up your price book. We'll go through price book categories, pricing defaults, warranties, job form preferences, how to add products to your price book, how to add products to an invoice from your price book, and how to upload a price book into your system to help save time on manual entry. We'll do a live Q&A at the end where you can ask any questions you want about today's topic and get those answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. The first thing we're going to look at is just an overview of what is the price book in the system. Right now, I'm on an invoice. So if you create a job, whether you're making an appointment, which will create a job, or you go to the customer page and create a job, in that job, you'll create proposals and invoices. Right now, I have an invoice. We are in the build mode of the invoice. And just to give you a general idea of the price book, you can, on invoices and proposals, you can click add item, which will then pull up your price books. You have three main price books that are available. This may look a little different depending on whether you have added on subscriptions or you're syncing to QuickBooks, but the From Price Book tab here will be your integrated WEX FSM price book. That is something that you will manually enter items and manage yourself in WEX FSM. The From Flat Rate price book is if you have the Profit Rhino subscription, which then adds a huge catalog of price book items in your system, which big benefit of that is the pricing is all determined for you based on your region. And it comes with the name, the model numbers, the description, pictures. It's fully built out, so that can save you a lot of time if you don't have that already. And if you are syncing to QuickBooks, let's say you've used your QuickBooks item list for many years before switching to WEX FSM, as long as you are syncing to QuickBooks, your QuickBooks items will show up here and they're available to then add to your invoice. So that's just an overview. These are the three main price books that you may see when you log in. Everyone will have the WEX FSM price book, which is what we are going to build from scratch today. So how do you build a price book in WEX FSM? We recommend setting up your price book in 3 steps, and we recommend doing this in this order. So the very first thing is to create your categories, then create your pricing defaults, and then go in and update your warranties. That's going to be some price book setup before we actually start adding items. To begin, we will go to More Applications, Price Book, My Price Book Categories. So step 1, first place to start building your price book, More Applications, Price Book, My Price Book Categories. My Price Book Categories page, this will be where you will set up your categories and your organization of your price book. I like to think of these as digital file folders, you know, like those old manila folders you would keep all your documents in. This is a way to organize your price book items. So when you're building them, you can say where you would like those saved. And I just have some examples here. we have a general folder with some subfolders for parts, service, bundles, and discounts. Maybe you want to make a installs folder, and all of the different install types that you do, you can make a folder for each one. When technicians out in the field go to access the price book, they will be able to see the folder organization that you set up here. To add a top level category, which is like a main folder, you will click Add Top Level Category. Enter the name of the category that you want. And then hit Add. That will then add a new top level category, aka a new folder. And these will be in alphabetical order when you add them. And here is our top level category. And that will be the main folder that you'll see when you're looking at the first page of folders in the price book. Then we can add subfolders by clicking the red plus button here, and you just add a subcategory. Apparently I can't spell that word, and hit add. Now we have our subcategory here, and you can make as many folders and subfolders as you want. And this is all personal preference. So here are some examples, but you will ultimately decide the way that you want to set this up. To delete a folder, it must have all items deleted from it or moved from it. So if you do have items in these folders and you try to delete it, it won't allow you. It does need to be an empty folder to be deleted. To delete, you will click the edit pencil here. This is also how you can edit the name if you want, and then hit delete. Once you have your categories set up here, then you can move on to your pricing defaults. To get there, we will go to More Applications, Price Book, Pricing Defaults. The pricing defaults page, this is where you will be able to set up the default pricing strategies that items in your price book will take on when you add them to your job forms. The first thing you'll see here is the standard price on the left. That is the default price that your items will take on when you start adding them to the price book. You can set up a parts markup multiplier. So an example here, if I add a new part to my price book for $100, let's say that it costs me $100, the system will use the markup to then output the price that your customer will pay. And this math happens automatically. Your system does it for you. And this is just the default. So you need a baseline for building this. And if you need to, when you're adding the items, you can always update the markup. You can update the price, the cost, whatever you need to. But this will just help your items have a markup applied when you first add them. So that's the standard price. The maintenance plan pricing, this is a unique feature that will automatically apply this maintenance plan pricing if a customer is a maintenance plan customer in your system. If they are not a maintenance plan customer, it will show the available savings on proposals and invoices if they do sign up for a maintenance plan, which is a great selling tool. You know, hey, today's going to be $100, and I noticed that you could benefit from our Comfort Club maintenance program. You know, you pay $100 a year, we come out twice, da da da. And if you sign up today, you'll save 10% on today's service. And so this is a great way to add value. And once they become a maintenance plan customer, you don't have to think about that discount. It will just automatically apply for any job that you create for them moving forward. Then you have three modifiers that you can create yourself. And this would be any discounts that you like to offer or any upcharges that you offer. Some examples here, we have a friends and family and a military discount that will subtract percentage, and an after hours that which will add percentage. Maybe I do emergency calls 24/7, and if I need to charge after hours, when I'm on the job, I can just change the pricing strategy to after hours, and then any items that I add from my price book that have after hours turned on, you can apply that in the moment. Down below, we also have your labor defaults. So when you're adding a labor item, it will default to this hourly cost and rate to save you some time. But if you need to update that in the moment, you can always do that individually as you're adding your items. Very important, and we do see a big exclamation point, and this is all in yellow here. This is letting you know how this page works, and this part's important, and this is why we want to do this first before we start adding our items. Any changes made below to the pricing strategy default section will take effect when creating new products in the price book. Existing products will remain unchanged and need to be updated manually. So if you have, let's say, over the last 2 months, you've built out a bunch of different price book items, then you need to change your markup for parts. You come in, you update your markup, and then you come down and you hit save. That markup will not apply to anything that was currently in there. It will only apply to new items that you add. This keeps the historical record of pricing for things in your price book, but maybe you do want to update all of your items to the new pricing. If you do, you will go to customer support down here with the help center, and you can just contact support and let them know. They will do a service request. It's typically 1 to 2 business days to get that updated. And you can even tell them, I only want this to apply to this folder. You can get specific on what bulk update you want to do, and customer support will help you that way. Okay, so now we have our pricing default set up. The final setting we're going to look at is your warranties. To get there, we will go to More Applications, Price Book, Warranties. And then the question is, do any of the items you sell have a warranty? Any of the labor that you do, does that have a warranty? You want to add those warranties here, and then when you are creating price book items, you'll be able to attach warranties to them. When those price book items are then added to a proposal or invoice, the warranty is included as well, so you don't have to think about adding it in the moment, and that will show up on the job form document. And for this, you just click Add New Warranty, enter in the information, the name, how long is the warranty for, a description, is it an extended warranty, and then hit save. So that is, we have our categories set up, which is our folders that we're going to put our items into. We have our pricing default set up, which will allow us to change and update the pricing for the jobs. And then we have our warranty set up, so we can attach those to our items as we are building them. Now, the place we're going to go next is, oh, you know what? I have one more setting. I just scrolled down on my notes. I have one more setting before we actually get in and start adding items. And this is really just personal preference on how you want your items to look when they are on your job forms. We're going to go to Settings, Jobs, Job Preferences. When I create a proposal or an invoice, the settings I have set up here will either show or hide items. And you just ask yourself, do you want your customers to see the location name on, let's say, on your invoices? Do you want them to see the model number? Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want them to be able to grab the model number and look it up on the internet, so you could turn that off. Do you want them to see unit prices, like the pricing individually for each line item? Do you want them to see the maintenance plan savings, which is like a red area that says how much they're saving? Do you want them to see the billing address, product number, and line item amounts and quantities? If all of these are turned on, your customer will see all of these pieces of information for each item you add from the price book. So this is just your defaults. Let's say you never want them to see the model number, you would turn that off here. But if there are maybe some jobs you do, some jobs you don't, and you just want to keep it on, you can always turn off the visibility of these items on the actual proposals and invoices themselves. But good place to check, set your defaults here, and then you are good to go. Okay, so now let's actually start adding items to our system by going to More Applications, Price Book, My Price Book. Actually, I may have clicked away from that. So there we go. If you set up your categories first, you will see them here. So now I can see I have all of my main folders, my subfolders, and these are now ready for me to add items into them and start organizing my items in the folders. To add a product, click Add Product here, and we have a drop down. In this drop down, there are 4 main product types that you can add to your system: single part only, labor or service only, a bundle, multi-item group, and a discount. So let's see an example of each of these. For single part only, if I select this, I am able to fill out the information here. Let's say that we are making a general part. You can add the product number. If you have a photo you want to attach to this, you can upload that here. Categories. So where do I want this part to live? Maybe I want it to be in the general parts folder. If you're syncing to QuickBooks, where do you want the revenue for this item to sync to in your QuickBooks? So let's say I want this. This is a part, so I want the revenue for this to go into my income job income account. And then add a description. The product name in the description will be visible to the customer. And then over here, this part is important. When you're adding items in your price book, if you want your profit and loss to be correct in your reporting, you need to add costs. So question is, how much does it cost me to purchase this item? And then your system will add the markup and put out the price that your customer will then pay. So let's say this is a $100 part, markup at 1.5, and the customer will pay 150. Then pricing strategies. We also set up our pricing strategies. So now we can set the defaults for how we want these to work for this item. For maintenance plan price, if this is on, it will automatically apply the maintenance plan pricing for maintenance plan customers. Maybe I don't want that to happen automatically. I can turn that off and it will prevent the maintenance plan price from being applied. Maybe you don't offer maintenance plans, so that might be a use case for turning that off. Then the rest of these, this is just saying if this is toggled on, this is saying, do you want these available to be turned on for this item? And the way that this works is If these are on, if I go into my job and it's standard price, I can change the pricing of that job to friends and family. And then since friends and family is turned on here, it will apply the 15% discount to this item. If this is off and I add this, it will not apply the friends and family discount. It won't be available to apply. And the nice thing about that is you can have some items that it's turned on and some items that it's turned off. And then that way you can update the pricing for the entire job. And then your system will know which of these items to apply the discount or upcharge to. So we'll go ahead and turn all those on for this part. In the very top right, you can favorite this item. When searching for items in the price book, you can look at your favorites. So favorites would be items you know you use very often and you want to just quickly pull them up. So you can click the heart and make that a favorite. And then in additional details, this is where you can update the QuickBooks item name. When you create an item in your price book, it will create a new QuickBooks item list item. And if you use classes, you can set that here. And then this is where you can attach your warranties. So if this item in particular has a warranty to apply, you can select that. And then serialize. If you have a scenario for serialize, if this is turned on, I sell a piece of equipment to the customer. There's a serial number that is attached to the unit we're selling them specifically. If serialized is turned on, when you add this item, it will give you a field to enter the serial number that you're literally looking at for the item that you're adding. If not, there will be no field for serialization. So this does come in handy. It's nice to have the serial number on the actual job form itself, and this allows a field for that to happen automatically. When you're done with your item, so we've got our name, our category, our account, our pricing, our cost, we're good to go. We're going to hit save, and that will save the item in the price book. I saved it into my parts folder, and we can see we've added a part. And I've also done this before, so we have two of the same one. So that is adding a part. Let's hit add product again. And next is labor or service product. And from here, it's exactly the same, but this is for labor now. So labor will have your labor rate and labor hours. The cost, how much does it cost for 1 hour of this labor service? Markup and standard price. You can enter the product name, choose file, image if you want. Where do we want this to save to? Set your income account, add your description. Let's say this is, service fee. And then maybe for my labor, I don't want to apply the pricing strategy. So I don't want any discount on my labor. So I'm turning those off. And if I go to additional details, this is where you can add a labor warranty. When you're ready, click save, and that will save the labor. Next, let's take a look. I'm hitting add product again. And a product bundle, multi-item group. So bundles come in handy if you have a lot of parts and labor and you want to put them together into one product. Now, the way that this works, think of the bundle as, like a bucket. And I need to take items and put those items into the bucket. So we need to have individual items first before we can add them to the bundle. So typically, those items you would have already built out individually in your system, and you can search for those here. Let's say I want my general part. So we'll add that. You can add multiple items if you need to. If there's an item that's not already built and you know you want to add it to this bundle, you can always hit add new part, fill out the information, save it. That will add the individual item to your price book, and it will add it to this bundle. And same goes for labor. So we've got our parts selected. Now let's put our labor together. And once you have your parts and your labor, you can create the product bundle. After a bundle is created, you will go, I have an example here. Your customer will just see one product with one price. They'll see the bundle basically as a single unit. But for you on the back end, you'll be able to see the individual breakdowns of each item, which maybe that is a good thing for certain equipment that you're adding, or you have a service that includes a bunch of different steps that you need to know, but your customer just needs to know one service was provided. And last, let's look at discounts. If you hit add product, select the discount product type. This is dollar amount discount. So this is like a coupon. Maybe I just want a $25 friends and family coupon. And then here we would just put minus 25. And then when I add this line item, it will subtract $25 from the total of the invoice. So you can set up essentially as many dollar amount discounts as you want. And maybe you have a $10, a $25, a $50, however you would like these. You can name them as coupons if you want. But essentially the way it'll work, I add it to my invoices or proposals, and it will subtract the dollar amount you have set here. Okay. Let me check my notes. That is adding items to your price book. So that is how you can manually build out each item, set permissions for which discounts you want these to be able to apply, and organize them into your folders, which you would have built previous. And, Pricebook, it's not a one and done thing. Pricebook is something you will continue to update. So, once you have your foundation set, go back, add new folders, update the organization, get feedback from your technicians. Hey, I am never able to find this folder. Could we get that set to a main folder instead of the 15th subfolder? So, have those conversations with the people who are going to actually use the price book and make sure this is organized for the most efficient flow in the field. So now our price book is set. We got our categories, we have our items. Let's start adding items to an invoice. So this is actual in context of how this would work when you're dealing with your customers. So I am on a job right now. I went to Justin Hernandez's customer page and pulled up a job. When you're on a job, you can add items to proposals and to invoices. And for today's example, we will make a new invoice. So every job that you have, you can scroll down and go to invoices and payments, and then click new to create a new invoice. And this is what we saw in the very beginning of today's session. We have our invoice, and we want to add items to our price book. So we will click add item. And a couple things here, you are able to see your price book folders. You can choose to show filters. So you can filter by trade or by repair type. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you can type it here, general part. that will pull from the tab that you're looking at. So if I'm looking for a general part in my flat rate price book, but I have from price book selected, I will not see it. You do need to toggle over to each tab to search that items in that tab. Once you find the items you want, you can add multiple items at a time. You can go around into different folders and search. Just know these will be added in the order that you select them. So let's get our general part here. Let's add general part second. Let's say that I want a filter. Let's add that. We can see we have 3 items added now. And then we need some labor as well. Another way you can search for things is by looking at the actual folders. So let's go into price book folders. And then from here, this is your categories, your organization. I know that I would like to add some general labor. So I'm going to go to general, service. And here is my general labor. I'll add that. So that will be the 4th item. And when you're ready, you have all the items you want. You can hit add 4 items. And there we go. They've added in the order that I selected them. And we can see savings has been applied. Oh, and here it is. So the savings is being applied for Justin here being a maintenance plan customer for all items, but not for the labor. So it's automatically, it knows because that setting we set, we turned that maintenance plan pricing off for labor, and it did not apply here. So now let's have a look. Yes. So scroll up. You can mark as favorite. You can mark this invoice as a favorite. And if we go to pricing settings here in the top right, this is where you can update the pricing strategy at the invoice level. It's automatically set to the maintenance plan price. If we wanted to offer something different, we can change the pricing strategy here. We're currently showing the maintenance plan savings, but if we wanted to hide that, we could hide that here. Line item, quantity and prices, and unit prices. Do we want to show or hide those? And just to give you an example here, right now, if I go to present mode, your customer will see the unit price, which is basically how much it costs for one of these units. And then they will see the quantity here as well, and the remaining balance at the bottom. And if you go back, let's go to, build mode. If we update these pricing settings, let's say we're going to hide these items. You still see them here, but that's because we're in build mode. We want to be able to see this. But when we go to present mode, now it's just showing the items on the side, which has the description and the title, but no individual unit prices, quantities, or any of that. The customer will just see the price, the total. That's up to you, however you want that to look. Let's go ahead and set those back on and hit update. If you toggle the T, there's a little T in a box here. You can toggle taxes on and off very simply here. So, oh, you know what? For today's job, I'm not going to charge tax. So you can just hit the T, turn taxes off for everything. Okay. And that is good. Once you have your items set, they'll be on here. You'll see the total. And now you can continue forward to pay now, which will process through WEX FSM. Record payment is if you're processing outside of WEX FSM, like if you get paid with cash and need to take that to the bank, still want to record that you took that payment, or you can send this to the customer and they can make a payment online. All right. And so next is we talked a lot about manually building out your price book. You set your categories, add items into those categories from the My Price Book page. And that might take a lot of time. You know, you have thousands of items that you sell, parts, labor, and it's going to take a long time for you to manually enter in all of those individually. So there's a couple tips that I have for you. The first tip is you can build as you go. So if you are still, let's say, uh, just starting with WEX FSM, you are needing to build out your price book, but you also want to get started. You want to make the switch and start using your system. I would say enter in your most essential items into your price book. You know, put things that you know is going to be used tomorrow. But you don't have to build out your entire price book to start using the system, because you can build the items as you go and add those items to your price book. And so if I go back to our invoice here and I hit add item, and let's say that this is completely empty. I don't have any items, or there's items in here. I just don't have the item that I need right now for this job. I want to go to price book folders and scroll all the way down. And right here, it says new product. This will allow you to add a new product just like you would from the My Price Book page. And it will not only add it to this invoice, but then it will add it to the main price book as well. So technically, if you have 0 items, you could still go out onto the job, look at what you need to add the item, charge the customer, and then the next time you go and need that item, it's there. And over time, as you do this, that will build your price book over time. So that's one tip for building out your price book, especially as a beginner or just starting using WEX FSM. But you can also submit a price book. So if you already have pricing, let's say in an Excel file, you can submit that and we will actually load all of that into your system, and that can save you some time as well. To do this, you will go to More Applications, Data Center, and that will start a conversation. And what we want is to submit a new price book upload. And then from right here, you have some options. So if you already have an Excel file with names, descriptions, cost, income account, taxable, you got all the info that you need, you can just submit that. Submit, I have my own file to upload. If you're not sure, maybe you do have a file, but you don't know if it has all the right info and you would like a template to use, I would like to populate a template, and we will give you an Excel file and you can fill that out on your own and then submit that. And so that's up to you. This is an option. Basically, once we have your price book information, the data team will load that into your system. And then when you go to your price book, those items will be there. All right. That is all the information that we have for today's presentation. I hope you guys learned something. We are going to go to our Q&A now, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Price Book Basics.